Hi, I'm Gabby. I did my placement at Renegade Lighting Design, based in London Bridge, and I worked as a lighting technician. Throughout my job, I'd work in the warehouse, on site, or at the office. On site, it would be generally, you'd get into the venue, you'd unload the truck, you'd install all the lighting. At the warehouse, I did a lot of stuff. Be a really wide range. I would make bespoke lighting structures, keep up with lighting maintenance, clean the warehouse, sort of arrange everything. I'd prep orders, I'd receive deliveries, would also meet clients there occasionally if they wanted to view some of the lights. And then in the office, I didn't work in the office a huge amount, but when I did, it would be helping with crew schedules. I'd send emails. I would contact suppliers about products if we needed more information or if I needed quotes. One of the jobs I did that really sticks in my mind was doing a gig for a band called the Savages at the Electroworks. And that was my first music job I did. And it was just phenomenal. The way the lighting really just supported the band in just an amazing way. A lot of the lights we used were mostly silhouette, and it just really worked with the band. It amazed me what you could do with the lights we used and how it made the gig 1,000 times better. The type of lights we were using on this gig was, we had some Sharpies, we had some Mac 101s, Fresnels as well, and also really cool aspect of this was the back of the stage. They had 6 sets of these square boxes which had old fans in them, and we put strobe lights behind the fans, so when they strobed out you just got the silhouette of the fan, and it looked amazing. And then for the show he used a canvas desk, but I was shadowing him mostly, which I find that shadowing board ops is fine. However, usually on site you have a very limited time to get stuff done, so they can't necessarily always stop and tell you what they're doing, so you kind of have to try and pick it up as you go, which I don't know, on this gig it was alright. It really made me feel very confident about the fact that this is the type of area I want to go into, especially with music. I'd love to do that, to go on tour, and this just solidified that in my mind. Another one that was quite impressive, we did, Thomas Sabo is a jewellery designer, and we did his expo in the Shard. For this job, beforehand, I did some prep work at the warehouse, creating about 60 cable drops. And cable drops are, they're a long piece of cable, and at one end you'll have a bulb holder, and at the other end we attached a bayonet connector, which meant we could connect these bulb drops into festoon. So we connect it into the festoon, then it drops down, and then you put the bulb in the bottom. So I had to make a lot of those, which involves cutting the correct length of cable, stripping back the ends of the cable. Because it was fabric cable, I had to heat shrink around the ends. So, and then at one end you attach the bayonet, and obviously the other end the bulb holder. And so once you've got all that done, then you plug it in and you test it. And it's weird how every time you test it and you put the bulb in and it works, you get this little bit of satisfaction, and you're like, yay, I made it, it works. That, I learned very quickly how to get these together in I got very fast at doing it in the end. And then getting into a site with the Shard was tricky because we did it in November 2012. It was still a building site, so that meant we had to it took about 4 hours because we were using the lift, sound were using the lift, the set guys were using the lift, furniture people were using the lift, and as it was still a building site, the builders were using the lift. We had to really learn how to cooperate with everyone and compromise and communicate. And the show itself, getting the D-rig, getting the install in was fine. And for the D-rig, it was fairly simple. Just take all our kit out. I think it took us about 4 hours. It was pretty easy. And for this job, the reason it really is an important one for me is because it was the first job I really felt confident in what I was doing. It gave me a sense of pride that I was like, yeah, finally, I feel like I'm progressing, I'm learning, and I know I can do this now. So that's the reason this job is very important to me. And then finally, another job that we did, which was, I think, the most visually impressive job I have ever done, was for a couture designer called Nicholas Oakwell at Claridge's. It was in the ballroom. And the lighting kit itself and what we had to do, it wasn't a huge amount of kit really. We had, I think it had 2 dimmer racks, 8 stands with scaff bars in them, and then a T-cross, a few Mac 101s and pin spots, Fresnels. So getting the lighting in itself wasn't too bad. We got the stands up, we got the lights rigged, we got it all wired up and everything. But I mean, it was the most impressive set, and the show itself went off without a hitch. And for that, it really showed me also how quick you can get a show in, done and out. It's just amazing, especially a show of this detail. Really, it goes in, it takes 12 hours to go in, be finished, have the show done, everyone's happy and get the kit out. One of the things I really developed over this placement was teamwork. On site, you're always working in a team of people, like whether there's 4 of you, whether there's 10 of you, you will always be working in a team. And so you really have to know how to communicate with people. You really develop that side of work, because if you don't work as a team, you know, someone might get hurt, things are going to go wrong, and so that you really had to refine your teamwork skills. Organisation. I was fairly organised before I started placement, however, for this, you had to be so organised, because I commuted from Brighton to London every day. So, you know, the day before I'd have to know where I had to be, know what time I had to get there, know how long it would take me to get from, say, Victoria or London Bridge. And then again, there were times, especially during Fashion Week, when I'd have to be in sort of 3, 4, 5 days a week, very early starts, late finishes. So I'd have to stay at people's houses, which meant before I left Brighton, I'd have to ensure I had like all my PPE with me, all of my tools with me. So organisation is definitely key in this kind of job. Generally, like, I learned about electrics and wiring. I can now wire and rewire and fix, you know, lamps. I went on a course for a CAMSYS lighting desk. Learned the basics about how to program lights, dress them, get effects on them. I was lucky enough to be sent on a SCAF tower building course, which means that now I have a certificate for 5 years to say that I can build, take down and inspect SCAF towers, which is very useful. Over the course of my placement, one of the things that was really very helpful to me, which you learn in time, is the correct vernacular. Because when I first started on site, if they ever had a problem, like, I knew what I was working with. However, if I needed help, I got someone who'd go, oh, can you help me with oh, you know, the thing, it's grey, you know, you got to attach it to that, and they'd look at me like, what are you talking about? And, you know, so it just, learning what things are called, it seems so simple to me now, but back then I didn't know the names of things, so it meant often I would actively have to sort of say, oh, what's this called, because then when you are working on site, you work a lot smoother with everyone and you sound so much more professional. Doing this placement really just solidified the fact that this is definitely the industry I want to go into. I love it. It gives me confidence in myself, so much satisfaction from the job, and everyone I worked with was so lovely. It was definitely worth it for me going, because now when I graduate next year, I will have the contacts I need to hopefully get a job in the industry, doing the job I love. It really was an amazing experience, and I wouldn't swap it for the world.